Green light, go!
Go time.
Apa? I did. Nope. Third. Oh, you gotta turn the chip back in.
I have no clue.
Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you enjoyed watching me get smoked in the streets of fire. I'm going to let the first lap play through here and talk about the weekend a bit, break into the crit, and then talk about this race as my season ender. Friday night, we were doing match sprints. It's a new race format that the organizers are playing around with called Streets of Fire. There's a lot of downtown hype. They had some live music going. Loud amp speakers were just going at max volume. It was a 250-meter downhill sprint. Local businesses were there lining the course, eating, drinking, just having a good time. There were a few crashes. I think a pro had snapped his chain. There's an amateur who skipped his wheel, and when he came down, his bike was angled, so he kind of shot into another cyclist and took them both out. It was a gnarly crash. It was kind of to be expected because they lined up 5 people and just said, go. There's not that much control, but it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to go back next year. We'll see how this race cleans up. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the crit. This is the men's Cat 3-4 field. This is course number 2. This is the quote-unquote pro course. It's a 0.9 mile course. It's got a false flat, which is what we're about to go into right now. It's like a 2% uphill, and the road's pretty chewed up. There's no real smooth line, but the smoothest line is here in the middle turning lane here. There's 2 sharp left-handers and then a steady uphill at about 7% grade. The course consideration though for today, because it was so wet, are these brick paint combinations that I just went over right now. They're super slippery. It's kind of like riding over glass. Like if you're going too fast, you're gonna slide out. If you're tilted just a little bit, you're gonna slide out. If you hit the brakes too hard, you're gonna slide out or run into the barriers. So that played into a lot for today's strategy. I'm riding 25C tires at 72 PSI, 185 pounds. So this hill's pretty draining and I had to be careful how I went up every lap. But so today's strategy, because it was so wet, was no matter what, to stay in the front 5. Normally I like to try and sag climb hills, but that is not an option for this case. Because those sharp turns in the field, the person in front of you slows down, you've got to slow down even more. And that's just going to exacerbate that slinky effect, that acceleration that you need to do to latch back on. And going uphill, for me, at the back of the field is no bueno. So I needed to stay in the front 5 no matter how deep I had to go. like here, for example, it was worth it for me to try and power up and be the person leading the charge over the hill, because when I got to corner 1, I got to pick my own line, and I got to take it as fast or as slow as I wanted to, and if the people behind me couldn't keep up, that just means that they're going to have to close down that much more of a gap in every single corner. So the chase element, be it 2 riders or 10, they're going to have to take each corner faster and faster and faster with each additional second of separation I'm able to put into them. And eventually, that's going to exceed the risk threshold of that chase group. So if you can imagine a peloton as a bunch of cyclists held together with elastic, this wet, technical course made it that much easier to snap it, because everybody in the back of that chase element is slowing down more. The people in the front don't want to do all of the work to bring us back, and boom, we've got a breakaway. And now I get to kind of play these gap games with my breakaway teammates, where I'm not really trying to break the efficiency of the breakaway, but I can kind of take these sneaky little cuts at the group and try and sap their legs a little bit. So I know that my handling is pretty good, which will be subject to discussion at the end of this video, but I can take the corners a little bit faster, open up a bit of a gap, and kind of sort of sag climb my way up the hill. This guy just absolutely just started sprinting over the top of the hill. I wasn't too terribly worried about it. I know he's going to come back. There's no way that was a sustainable pace. So even if I just settled in at a nice steady effort, I figured I'd pull him back on the flats or at some point on the back half of the course. Fast forward a little bit, we had one cyclist kind of come over the top of me on the back half of the course and jump onto the orange rider's wheel. Still not super worried. We're not even 10 minutes into this race. Put a little bit of pressure, but still not trying to blow the rims off going up the hill. So these two look like they're kind of far away, and it felt like that too. But if you take a look at the clock, I play a game with myself right now, 9:12. So I usually will find a landmark on the course, be it a corner or a tree, and then I start counting to myself. Right now, 9:20. They're only 8 seconds ahead of me. The gap isn't that big to worry about yet. Sure enough, 2.5 laps later, me and my small cohort, we're trading poles, making sure they don't stay more than 8-10 seconds ahead of us. And it seems like they finally started to run out of gas going up over the bridge. So we brought those two guys back in and started lapping the field, and these are the first 3 that we came across. And this situation was kind of tricky because I had no idea what direction these guys were going to take in the corner. I decided to stay wide. My assumption was that because they're going slower that they could take the corner a little bit tighter. I got lucky there. I think that might have been a potentially dangerous situation, because if those slower riders went wide and ran into me, I'm sure we both would have gone down because of how slippery it is out here. A way that, looking back, I think I could have mitigated that is if I slowed down much earlier before I even entered that first left-hander and let one of the other guys in my breakaway take the lead so I can build up speed for the hill without really worrying about the lapped riders in that particular corner. As we get into the bridge, this is my favorite spot to lead our group because I got to pick the smoothest line instead of having to worry about the chewed up pavement on either side of the turn lane. And I got to go into this first of the 3 left-handers pretty fast. One of the benefits, I'm riding on a disc brake bicycle, so I can slow down just enough right before I hit this corner take the apex, take it nice and wide, and I still have plenty of room to go. But based on how I entered that corner, you can see that I already put in a little bit of a gap with me and the guys following me. I took that one fast. 27 going downhill in a wet corner. That was ballsy, but I definitely got lucky. But I was able to put space between me and the other riders in the breakaway, and now I get to have a bit of a cushion as I come up over the climb. I can just put in a steady effort. The other guys, they're probably going to be having to push 800 watts to close me back down. Again, the intent for me is not to try and separate from them yet, but if I can make them hurt more than I hurt, that's a win.
We're not safe if we start playing games. We're not safe if we start playing games.
So if you heard that there, my buddies, they weren't riding as hard as I wanted them to. I thought we were giving up a little too early. Keep in mind, because it is so wet, I am racing eyes forward. I am not looking back. I don't have any idea how far the peloton is from us. I don't know how healthy we are. So I'm trying to motivate one of our guys a little bit to try and buckle in, stay tight, don't ruin our harmony just yet. I've gone from nearly lapping the peloton to getting chewed up and spat out the back of a peloton in a matter of 2 laps. We're getting kind of close to the end, so if we start breaking our unit cohesion, we can slow down to a crawl. And if we get down to 15 miles an hour, we're risking all of us being on the podium to none of us. And that's a wrap. Last lap, our lead cyclist went down. I overcorrected. I squeezed my brakes. Something happened over the brick, and I slid out.
Quickly, I just got MRSA here a week ago, crashing, so.
And if you heard that, the guy who came to help me up, clean my wounds a little bit, had MRSA. So I'm fine now. I had a pretty deep laceration, a puncture, something on my right kneecap. So I had to go to the OR and get that cleaned out because it was pretty deep. But honestly, the worst part, out of the money, prize money payout. Could have had gas money, might have offset the registration fee a little bit. Didn't win. That's a bummer. I still came across the finish line though. I actually did an entire lap looking for medics, looking for EMS to try and help take care of my knee. And I ended up doing a full lap looking for EMS, and sure enough, right where I went down, they were across the parking lot. So, well, I'm keeping my DNF record down, so that's a win. Gonna do a quick overview of my stats for the race. For 28 minutes, I was at 387 watts for normalized. Average power 297, so this was a pretty hard effort for me. We kept the speed up about 24.9, 25 miles an hour on a wet technical course. That was pretty good. I didn't set any new power records, but I mean you can see where this drop off is, 31 seconds, 750. I mean that was about how long it took to get over the hill each time. Let's go down to my breakdown of my power zones. So I had about 21. This is about a third of my time was spent either coasting or soft pedaling. And then another third of my time was spent above 400 watts. So this was a pretty hard effort. Every time we went up the hill, about 30 seconds, it was 400 to 800 watts. So this is not a friendly course for big guys. But I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you like what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, throw me a like, and take care. Stay safe.